Hey, Jam, have you ever been on Reddit?
Yeah, I have. I'm trying to stop, actually. I'm just kidding.
Well, today's episode, we are going to do some Reddit readings.
Yes.
And I am going to respond as a chemist.
Nice. So questions about chemistry from Reddit.
About chemistry, related to chemistry, about chemistry professors from Reddit.
Got it. Cool.
All right, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Hey, I'm Melissa.
I'm Jam.
And I'm a chemist.
And I'm not.
And welcome to Chemistry for Your Life.
The podcast helps you understand the chemistry of your everyday life.
Reddit edition. Oh, we didn't even talk about that before.
Nope. We just synced up.
Perfect.
So we've done one of these before. So much fun.
I love these. I love Reddit.
Yes. And it's just people are asking pretty good questions or funny questions or both, you know?
Yeah.
So these, okay. This first one's from one of the most fun subreddits called Explain It Like I'm 5. And the question is, usually these that are on there, I'm like, it's like everyone's like, yeah, I need that also explained like I'm 5.
Yeah.
So why does dropping ice in a room temperature fizzy drink make it fizz more? That's a really good question.
Okay.
Why does dropping ice in a room temperature fizzy drink make it fizz more?
Okay, in a fizzy drink, it's liquid
Mm-hmm.
with little tiny, invisible to the eye gas molecules all spread throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when you start to be able to see gas molecules, it's because a bunch find a meetup point. We call that a nucleation site.
Yes.
And they all come together and they start to bubble. Like they gather at this meetup point and they get big enough to then where you can see the collection of the gas molecules with your eyeballs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then they're kind of coming out of the solution. They're not dissolved in the water anymore at that point. And they get big enough to form a bubble and then bubble up. Well, when you drop an ice cube in there, that's one big, really noticeable nucleation site. So all the molecules are like, shoop, and then they're like, because there's just too many.
Lots of little invisible gas molecules finding each other and creating a bubble.
Yeah, because it's such a big, it's like the ice cube is running through the gas molecules yelling, hey, meet up here, meet up here, meet up here. Mm-hmm. So they all know where to meet up quickly.
Got it. That sounds familiar. Yeah, we've talked about that for sure, haven't we?
We talked about it in the Why Do Mentos and Diet Coke Do That thing.
Aha, yes.
A fun episode.
Very fun.
Okay.
That was actually a really good question and also not that complicated of an answer in a cool way.
Thanks. I tried really hard to explain it like you were 5. I've been hanging out with my 6-year-old nephew lately. So.
Nice. Oh, so he's like kind of above my level. He's 6.
He's like on your level. Yeah, a little above yours.
Yeah. This one, we talked about this too. I don't remember if this ever, like, if we answered this or if it ever made sense. But I feel like I've heard this question before. Maybe whenever we talked about onions. Explain like I'm 5. How does stainless steel work to remove the onion smell from the skin?
Okay, so we have talked about this before, and we don't have a solid answer. Like, it was hard for me to find a research paper or whatever that looked into this. But in my anecdotal experience, this does work.
What the?
Oh, wait, did you read the little follow-up question yet?
No.
Okay, this is important. Go ahead and read it.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I didn't read that on the other one either, did I?
That's okay.
Okay. This one says, I was chopping onions the other day. I actually thought that this was your answer, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So, on our other stuff, you kind of put your notes. So I was like trying not to look at it because I didn't want the.
Oh, no, that's the question.
I didn't want the answer ruined for me if they were your thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
No spoilies.
Yes, no spoilies. I was chopping onions the other day and was getting aggravated that no matter how many times I washed my hands, they still smelled like onions. So I looked up ways to remove it, and the internet told me a stainless steel spoon. I rubbed the spoon. Shows your name there, so I can't read that part.
Sorry.
With water all over my hands, and the smell is magically gone. How does this work?
Okay, so I've noticed this too, specifically with garlic smell. I hate garlic smell on my fingertips from chopping.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've noticed, we have a stainless steel sink, and I can sort of rub my hand under the water on the stainless steel sink, and it takes the garlic smell out.
What?
So anecdotally, I've noticed that also.
Okay.
And here's what I think. This is chemistry off the cuff.
Okay.
So some metals can grab onto other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's something in stainless steel that is able to grab on to the sulfur smell.
Okay.
Sometimes they call it like chelating, is when you can grab onto like metal.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I think that there's something in the stainless steel that bonds with the garlic smell or the onion smell that's made primarily of sulfur. And the water is necessary to help it because you need a medium to move around. You need to there needs to be something that provides more space for the water or for the molecules to come into contact with the stainless steel, because just rubbing it on stainless steel without water is not as effective.
Okay.
And so that's what I think. I think that metal, I'm trying to explain like year 5, metal can grab onto the bad smelling compound, specifically sulfur, and the water helps to facilitate those interactions.
So you're saying good metal help bad smell go bye-bye?
Exactly. Thank you, 5-year-old. Actually, I think the 5-year-old would be like, oh, okay, and would run off to play with Legos or whatever.
What if everyone on this subreddit would like type in like, that kind of like sort of like condescending like
5-year-old way.
Yes, but like kind of like, oh, well, the good metal make bad smell go bye-bye, and like really talking down.
I don't even talk to kids like that.
Yeah, no one does. Yeah. Okay. This is from the subreddit of UNT, University of North Texas, the college that is in our town where we both went at different times.
Yep.
For different degrees.
Yep.
In different disciplines in every single way. But both of those contribute to the podcast here.
That's true.
When should I email my professors in the chemistry department again about recommendation letters? I'm trying to not rush them since I know they are dealing with summer courses, possibly enjoying their breaks since they have been busy every semester in doing research. But I wanted to know if I should email them again. If you're wondering, I did email them twice this month. One from 3 or 4 days ago and one from today.
I would call that twice this week.
Yeah, this week, exactly. I do have a bunch of other professors as alternatives, but the ones I sent were my top ones. I did speak with them in person, and they mentioned to email when the time came. Of course, it gets difficult with their schedules. What should I do?
Do not email them again. Listen, I wish I could describe to you the email inbox of a professor. But it's like 30 new emails every day.
Ooh.
Minimum. From students who all need something from you. And so very likely they are either teaching a course like you said, or they're off, or they're doing research. There's all kinds of things they could be doing. If you emailed them, I actually typically would wait a week or 2 to follow up, not 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you've done 2 really close together. I bet they've seen it. They're working on it, and you should chill out a little bit. I would wait 2 more weeks.
Got it.
At least. So that is my perspective. I know you're excited, and they probably understand that, but sometimes when students email you a lot, it can just be like, it sort of adds to the pile instead of, now I can work through this and get to them faster.
Right.
So, and it might have the negative effect of Outlook will bring your newest emails to the top, which you might think would be beneficial, except professors start from the bottom and work their way up. So then, the newest email up top is not, they're going to miss it as they're going through.
I see.
So you kind of move yourself to the back of the queue.
I see. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Very smart.
So, yeah. And I know you're excited, and don't worry too much about it, but I wouldn't do it again.
Fair enough. Good question. Good answer.
Thanks.
This is from one of the subreddits we read from last time, which is how did we censor this?
I think you said, "Am I the jerk?"
Oh yeah, am I the jerk? You should know what the actual Reddit subreddit is if you have been around, but it's stories of people wondering. Here's my story. Here's what happened. Am I the one who was the jerk in the situation? Am I the jerk for pranking my students with a joke extra credit question? I, 42 male, am a professor at a mid-sized university in southern United States. I teach both organic chemistry 1 and 2. My class is known to be more challenging and rigorous than the other sections, but students still take my class because I go above and beyond, both to help them understand the material and make it accessible to all my students. However, I don't offer any extra credit of any kind. This is clearly delineated in my syllabus, and I announce this at the beginning of class. I believe in making exams fair, and I design them so that they properly test students' ability to remember, understand, and apply the material learned in class to critically think about exam questions and problems. I don't add any trick questions. I also explicitly mention the learning goals for each topic that students must meet the standard for to do well in the class. Extra credit is redundant because if you want to excel in the course, all you have to do is make an effort to remember, understand, and critically think about the material. That being said, I regularly receive a plethora of emails from disgruntled students begging for extra credit or a bump up the final grade. This is really annoying because they try to guilt me into giving them some kind of concession or favor. I got tired of this, so I decided to prank them. I wanted to see if they didn't know that I categorically do not offer extra credit, or, as I suspect, they know and still try anyway. On their most recent exam, almost 2 weeks ago, on the last page, I wrote extra credit, and I need to put a Where's Waldo puzzle, but I took out Waldo. I thought students would find it funny and it would just be a stupid joke. But when we convened for the next class and I asked them how the exam went, they were all talking about how none of them could find Waldo. Some students even said they spent upwards of 20 minutes on it and prioritized the extra credit over the actual questions. I fessed up and told them it was a joke. There was no Waldo in the picture, and the point of it was to emphasize that I don't offer extra credit. So stop asking. Now students are really mad at me, and I'm getting a lot of complaints about what I did, and word spread to the other chemistry faculty who are also saying that what I did was wrong.
I have so many thoughts about this one. Okay,
oh my gosh.
if you wanted to emphasize that you don't offer extra credit, you could have just put extra credit in a blank page.
Yeah.
That would have done it.
Yeah. Yep.
Also, the only way I think he can make it right at this point is to give them all extra credit.
Ooh.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I guess the risky move was to do anything, right? To put any question on there.
Mm-hmm.
A jokey question that wasn't obviously a joke to people.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think? Do you think he was the jerk in this situation?
I think so. I think especially because he knows his audience, right?
Yeah.
He knows that they always ask, even though they've read the syllabus, and he said at the beginning. So it's just the classic deal of you can tell something to people a bunch of times, but they're still going to ask.
Yes.
They didn't read the syllabus.
Yes.
And you can't expect everybody to because they just never will.
Yeah.
So I think it's you kind of know your audience. Now, if he was pretty green and was oh, I thought people would get this because I put it in the syllabus and had a little bit of innocence about it. Doesn't sound like he is new to this.
No. Seems like he's punishing the whole class for a few students, but also he talks about their final grades, them always asking to bump it up. So he's punishing them for previous year's students also.
Right.
Not reading the syllabus. And so I get it, okay? I totally understand being a professor that puts all this work in and you want your students to match that energy.
Yeah.
But realistically, students have so much else going on besides just your class.
Mm-hmm.
And there's learning theories that talk about if you imagine the way that learning works is first you have to take in the information. And there's so much that you're also taking in, like lights, you're processing other people talking, you're processing how cold it is in the room, your body's processing all this information, that the best way to describe it is light coming through semi-open blinds. So you know how that will leave stripes on the wall? That's how much information is getting through. It's only the light that gets through the half open blinds. So that's why we have to tell our students things over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear him say, I wrote in the syllabus and I say it the first day of class, that there's so much else that they're taking in on the syllabus in the first day of class that it would be so easy for them to miss it. That the only way I feel like this could even be a little bit justified is if he said it every single class and if he said it before the exam.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, or it's like if enough students asked him, like I don't know how big the class is, but if enough students asked him via email or some other communication and he was responding, I don't offer extra credit. I tell you this at the beginning of the year, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if he thinks for some reason that enough students have also been individually told, then I could see it being like him thinking they should know this is a joke. But it doesn't seem like that's what the case was.
No, and students take their grades so seriously.
Yeah.
Some of them have scholarships writing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, their parents, the relationship with their parents rely on it. Their financial situation relies on it. They're also young and it feels like a huge deal to them. Like a conversation I have a lot of time with my students is like, if you failed this and you failed this class, like big picture, what's the worst thing that could happen to you? It's like you could still probably do everything you want in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we have to talk about the not big dealness of this exam a lot.
Yeah.
And so I feel like as an organic chemistry teacher, if he had any empathy with his students, he would know that they take that so seriously, especially in organic chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels like tone deaf to their pleas a little bit. It's like, yeah, a lot of them are just, they didn't do the work and they just want the easy way out. But like, I could see my top students also spending time doing that, you know, because they're just like so desperate to get their good grades. And so it just feels mean.
Yeah. So here's some things I think. One, I can see, the first half of the first 3/4 of his story. All his reasons for not even offering in the first place and trying to be clear about that make total sense to me.
Total sense. Yep.
What I would have maybe done if I was him is in that Where's Waldo puzzle, instead of, like, if you took out Waldo, put somewhere hidden in small print the phrase, I don't do extra credit.
Right.
And that's the thing that people find.
Yep.
Remember, I don't do extra credit. Or whatever.
Yeah, that's good.
Something like that. Can I tell you a prank that I thought was good that one of my teachers did in high school once?
Yeah.
Okay. So this, I think, was genius. And this was like high school or middle school or something like that. So also, like, in general, less weight to each grade in some ways. Obviously, those grades matter. But like the pressure is higher in college makes total sense.
Yeah.
Doing slight stuff in earlier grades is not as consequential. He made the test where on the Scantron sheet, the bubbles thing, it was ABCD, 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 ABCD were the actual answers. But he was the kind of teacher that had developed a sense of humor and messing with people and kind of like doing funny stuff. And so the thing was, and this is like pretty late in the year, and so it's like we all knew him well. It'd be way too risky after you did the first 8 questions and you saw that as ABCD, ABCD. It'd be way too risky just to assume it's going to stay the same.
Yeah.
Because everyone was thinking, oh, surely not. Surely not. Knowing him, he's going to change one down here further.
Yeah.
And then you finally do the whole thing, and he didn't.
He didn't change any.
ABCD, ABCD the whole way.
I would have thought he would have changed at least one.
I know, but he didn't. I think because he knew people would suspect that
he would
change one just to mess people, and he didn't. So he made everyone still have to do every question. But there's just this like, I remember this collective kind of like low level of like giggling happening during the test where everyone's realizing it, but also kind of wondering, but like no one's able to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And it was just so funny to me.
That is funny.
And I loved it. And no one was, it didn't harm anyone.
Yeah. And you could still, you could still get every question right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And if anyone did make that bold move to just go with it, which is a huge risk, they got 100. So
nice.
it's like, okay. Anyway.
Well, and I also want to say something else. He does talk about this, which I want to push back on some.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I believe in making exams fair, and I design them so they properly test students' ability to remember, understand, and apply. Doesn't do trick questions. That's great. But there is research that shows that exams are inherently harder for some people than not inherently harder, I guess. Let me say this a different way. They're like favor people who think in the way that exams test, sort of.
Right,
so
okay.
it is still a little bit inequitable.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to push back also that maybe this professor's tests aren't as perfect as he thinks they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that education research has shown us time and again, is that students are able to do what we want them to do in organic chemistry without actually knowing what we want them to know.
Yeah.
So the joke was bad, but also the test might be worse than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I'm sorry, I hate to tell you. That's my job in my field. So
would it help though? Like, I guess we don't know what the rest of his semester is like, but if there's enough other assignments to kind of like
right, yeah,
give some variety or whatever.
Yes, if there's like low stakes like quizzes throughout, that will help make it more equitable.
Yeah.
So
like I remember taking in the chemistry for non-majors class that I took here at UNT, there was like that was actually kind of cool, where you had to write a paper about a chemist from history. And
yeah.
It was just kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, this is a totally different kind of assignment. And it wasn't like, it was a mixture of like just writing, of course, but also I think he said, and you know, in your own words, explain like their contribution and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool because like totally different skills involved, but it's a grade you get.
Yeah.
And I think you could turn it in anytime in the semester. So it's kind of like basically this is extra credit, but it's not extra. You have to do it.
Yeah.
You can do it any time, but it's pretty easy to do a great job on it.
I graded those exams one year. I was that guy's TA.
Nice. Oh, that's right. You were. Yep.
And then for my OCHEM students, I had them do a chemistry is for everyone essay where they had to find a scientist, a chemist that they identified with. And there were some that were like, I want to do a doctor. And I was like, no, it has to be a chemist. And that they identified with in some way and then talk about their contribution.
Nice.
And it was really fun.
Cool. I like that.
So, yeah. And listen, you can not give extra credit and you can design a fair course and that's fine. But this, I feel like you're asking for students to get mad at you.
Yeah.
I don't know what you expected.
Right.
And I feel like now you have to give extra credit.
Yeah.
That's what it feels. Or like drop that exam grade or something because it feels like you set them up to do poorly.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit how it feels.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely.
Sorry. So sorry. Well, that's all we have for today, I think.
Yep.
Thanks for reading Reddit stories with me.
Thanks for finding them. And thank y'all and people who don't even listen to this podcast for asking these questions on Reddit. If you have questions about chemistry or things related to chemistry like these questions, you can send those to us on our website at chem4yourlife.com. It's chem4yourlife.com to share your thoughts, ideas, questions. If you'd like to help us keep our show going and contribute to cover the cost of making it, you can join our super cool Chem community of patrons on patreon.com/chem4yourlife. You get cool perks. You get to know us. You get some behind the scenes stuff, ad-free version of the show, all that cool stuff. If you're not able to do that, though, you can still help us by subscribing to your favorite podcast app, rating, writing a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and also subscribing to our YouTube channel and saying hello somewhere on one of our videos over there. Those things help us to share chemistry with more people, help our show to be found by people who want to learn about chemistry.
This episode of Chemistry for Your Life was created by Melissa Collini and Jam Robinson. Jam Robinson is our producer, and the episode was made possible by our financial supporters on Patreon. Thank you all so much for making chemistry more accessible to even more people. And a shout out to those supporters. Thank you to Scott B. Thank you, Jessie R. Thank you, Ciara L. Thank you, John T. Thank you, Avishai B. Thank you, Bri M. Thank you, Brian K. Thank you, Carol R. Thank you, Chris and Claire S. Thank you, Chelsea B. Thank you, Derek L. Thank you, Elizabeth P. Thank you, Emerson W. Thank you, Hunter R. Thank you, Jacob T. Thank you, Kristina G. Thank you, Katrina H. Thank you, Letila S. Thank you, Lyn S. Thank you, Melissa P. Thank you, Nicole C. Thank you, Rachel R. Thank you, Sarah M. Thank you, Stephen B. Thank you, Suzanne P. Thank you, Timothy P. Thank you, Venus R. Thank you, Erica B. Thank you, Cullyn R. And thank you, Jeannette N. Thank you again for everything you did to make Chemistry for Your Life happen.
Yay, chemistry.
Yay, chemistry. Yay, Reddit.